6:02 p.m. First of all, quorum check by Steve.
I am here, Steve Holden.
Okay. Steve in.
Stephen Chittister, present.
David. David, you there? Yeah, he is. David.
He's moving his
1,
head.
2, 3. David. Yeah, he's not hearing me. Eric, you here?
Yeah, I think so. Last I checked.
And I am here. And Ed Goodwin is here. David. David Barnacle.
He has left the building. We got four
right
halves.
there. He looks really good. All right, I'm going to move along. I'm going to read, pursuant to the Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, GL 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Sturbridge Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen or to watch the meeting may do so either via online, via the town's online command broadcast, video broadcast on cable television on channel 191, or dial into the meeting at 774-304-1455, which I tested and it worked. Enter 1428 pound for the meeting number and 12345 for access code. This phone number will only be active for the public meeting during public meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we are unable to do so, despite our best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay? And then I will read the opening statement for public hearings. We have one tonight. In the interest of saving time, Sturbridge Conservation Commission will hold all public hearings tonight for work within a wetland, water body, or resource area, or within 200 feet of the buffer zone to a wetland, water body, or resource area, in accordance with Mass Wetland Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and associated regulations, and the Town of Sturbridge Wetlands Bylaw and associated regulations. We will not be reading the newspaper ad. Prior to the opening, the first hearing for each project, the applicant is to submit proof of notification to abutters within 200 feet subject property line and proof of legal newspaper advertisement. If these items are not submitted, the public hearing will not be open. Additionally, prior to the start of each public hearing, we will announce the location of the project, the applicant, and the applicant's representative. Okay, that being said, we have a quorum. We are now to 6:05. Becky, and you're saying that this will not be able to be opened?
Yep, so this is 8 North Drive, a notice of intent, replacement of septic system, DEP file number 300-TDA. Unfortunately, there was an issue with the legal ad with the newspaper, and they didn't publish it in time. So we've postponed this to the February 2nd, 2021 meeting, and that'll be held at, what's the time? I can find it real quick. 6:55.
Okay. All right. What I'd like to do, there are two things I want to. First of all, I will be leaving the meeting at 7:30 for another meeting. So Stephen has agreed to take over at that time, if you guys go that far. The second thing is, because I'll be leaving the meeting, and since we have some open time, I'd like to go to committee updates, because, I have some participation in them, and I just wanted to. CPC met. We met on January 11th. We approved $35,000 approximately for Tommy Chamberlain and the Trails Committee for a variety of projects on the different lands that we have in town, about 5 different ones. We also got an update on Street at Beach from Jeff, and that's coming along. And we also had a letter regarding possibility of the town buying land on 80 Lead Mine Road, and we pushed back on that to get. We would need to know what they're looking for. Really, CPC brings projects before the town. We don't go looking for them to bring to the town, so it's a little bit different there. But we did go back and say, what are you looking for it? You got to get an appraisal. So, and that's pretty much the CPC. Now, David, Trails.
I think we lost David.
Dave Barnacle. All right. Well, we will have to bring that up at a different time, I guess. He comes back on. Wonder why. All right. Becky, what do we got? We can fill in with between now and 6:15.
We can. I don't want to do the enforcement order update. Do you want to approve the minutes, or do you want to wait to see if Dave comes back on for that?
Let's go ahead and approve the minutes. We had full participation, and we have, all the members here except Dave. So, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
All right, take Eric. And second, Steve.
I made the motion. Eric seconded it.
Oh, okay. I got that mixed up. Vote all in favor? Stephen?
Stephen Chittister in favor.
Eric?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Steve Haldeman?
Steve Haldeman in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor. Okay, Becky, what else have you got?
Do you want to do the tree scavenger hunt?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Erin's turning her volume on, her mic on. She's gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna shut my mouth. Oh.
Who's that?
All right, can everybody hear me? Oh, all right, shut yours off. All right. We're going to come over here. Erin's going to come over here to mine and do that because it didn't work very well.
All right.
All right, so Becky asked if I would jump on and just give a quick update about the scavenger hunt. So this is our 11th year providing this program for our residents. We did have we had 10 participants send in photographs to share with our department. So we are offering, we picked a name out of a hat, and the winner was Ella Reed. She's actually been participating in it for many years. We'll be sending her a Ranger Rick subscription and a prize package. And we're able to work together with the recreation department to provide prize packages for all of our participants. So I'll be sending out something to everyone who participated with a photograph. And I just wanted to mention their names right now just to recognize them. So we had Sophia Ravezzi, Eli Polanic, Vinnie Bergman, Paige and Violet Spooner, and Ben and Catherine, excuse my Chinchilli. I think that's their last name.
Is that how you say it? Oh, I thought I said it wrong. Shakley. Wow.
And then our first prize winner of Ella Reed. And I got a lot of feedback that there was people really look forward to this program, everyone.
Your time is up. I'm kidding. I don't know where that came from.
And then quickly, I just wanted to know that in February, we'll be also working together with the rec department to highlight some of our trails and, encourage people to get out on the trails. And it's called Discover Sturbridge Hike and Seek. And they'll be running for about 2 weeks. We're going to have photographs and some targets for people to go out and find. And anyways, that's something that we'll be looking forward to for February. If anybody has any questions or comments, that's it.
No, great.
Yeah, so like Erin mentioned, we've partnered up with Rec this year, and we're using to helping with Facebook and promoting events. So the Hike and Seek will have certain things like on signs, like the Stafford Turnpike sign to find it, and learning how to read maps to find things and document them and mark the map and submit that in for prizes too. So kind of connecting to them to history and Sturbridge, but also map reading and getting outside in the conservation land. So trying to encourage that. And I think it's mostly geared towards school and children. So yeah. So anyways,
excellent. David, you back?
Yes, I apologize for that 15-minute hiatus, but when I turned down the volume, I evidently turned it off on both sides, so I had to start all over again. Sorry.
I hear you. David, trails update? We did CPC.
Oh, okay. First of all, we have a safety issue with the Plimpton property. And that safety issue is the New Boston Road. Cars parking on New Boston Road cause a serious problem safety-wise, and it can be solved very simply. We have care, custody, and control of all of the properties that the town owns with the exception of the Riverlands, so we have to approve of various changes as they take place. And one of the changes that Trails submitted on Thursday night last week has been discussed by them now for about 6 or 8 months. They would like to simply take the fence that exists right at the edge of New Boston Road and move it down to the signage that exists inside of the Plimpton property. What they would do is make the field available for them. So number one, they can mow it. And so that number two, you wouldn't have to worry about cars parking out on New Boston Road. They can park on both sides of that area coming down to where the new fence will be. They will put boulders on the sides of the fence as usual, make it accessible to people and bicycles, make it accessible to horses, but not make it accessible to vehicular traffic without a key for the padlock, which will be there. And of course, keys are given to fire safety and police department so that they also have access if they need it. I would like to propose that we have a unanimous vote in regard to this issue. It simply is a matter of care, custody, and control. So it's not something that has to go before the selectmen. It's not something that has to go before town meeting. But we need to be able to administer this. So that's item number one.
All right, well, let's stay with that then. Do I have a second on that proposal?
I'll second that. Steve Haldeman.
All right, Steve Haldeman seconded it. Discussion.
This is Eric. Do we have a cost?
I'm sorry, say it again, Eric, please.
Just an estimate of the cost.
There will be no cost, because what we have right now is some money that's left in one of the funds for the Trails Committee. And what they're going to do is take the fence that exists now out and use it elsewhere, and I'll talk about that in a second. And they're going to have to buy a larger fence, swinging fence, put up down there because it's a wider area. And have it covered with one of the funds that they already have in their budget.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Cost of commission, zero.
I like free.
Any other? Anybody else? Seeing no one else, I'll take a vote. Starting off with Stephen. How do you vote?
Stephen Chittister, approved.
Steve Haldeman.
Steve Haldeman, approved.
Eric Gaspar.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Dave Barnacle.
Dave Barnacle in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor.
Item number
All right,
two.
Becky, you should,
Item number
before you
two.
do that, Becky, hold on, Dave. Becky,
Okay.
we should notify Opacum that we're just moving that down. Go ahead, David.
Okay.
Item number two is we'd like to do a similar thing out at the Long Pond property. Instead of having the boulders there, which is really unsightly, we'd like to put up a fence and put up some sign. They would like to put up a fence and some signage so that the people will know what's there. And they're also going to start working on developing at least a walking trail up there. That plan will come later. What they would like to do is put a fence up there. So we will have no vehicular traffic whatsoever on their property. And again, I would like to make a motion that we approve of the establishment of a fence at the beginning of the Long Pond area. It's right off of 148, as you all know, I'm sure, just for the Mass Turnpike overpass.
Do I have a second on that?
Eric Gaspar, I'll second it.
Seconded. Discussion?
Same question. Any costs associated with this, David, or is it already in their funds?
So the hope is that we can use the thing that we're taking from the Plimpton property.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
If not, it's also we'll use the same basic funding that's being used on the Plimpton property. The person who handles all of the funds for that has indicated that there is ample funding for that purpose.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, voting in favor, Stephen?
Stephen Chittister in favor.
Steve?
Steve Haldeman in favor.
Eric?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
David?
David Barnacle in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor. Anything else, Mr.
Thank you,
Barnacle?
folks. Nope. Thank you very much.
All right. David, you don't want to talk about the field?
I don't think it's appropriate to talk about the field just yet because there will be a plan that will indicate exactly what should
Okay,
happen.
all right. Great. All right, good. All right. Now it's 6:21, so we can move to our 6:15, 30 Main Street, 20 Fisk Hill Road, continuation of an NOI, development of a residential and commercial cul-de-sac subdivision, DEP file number 300-1086. All right. Becky, you want to start it off, or?
Sure. So this is a continuation from the last meeting. At the last meeting, we opened the public hearing for this, had some discussion about the project, got a good overview from the project engineer, discussed two of my recommendations would be the peer review for stormwater compliance with the local and state stormwater regulations, as well as a peer review for wetland delineation on site. Since the last meeting, we did receive the request requested peer review from Ecotech for the wetland delineation, which I provided to you. And we also have the original peer review proposal from PAR that's also been provided to you again. I can let the applicant's representative go into some detail about discussion about things since the last meeting, but just to conclude my comments, my recommendations for this public hearing would be to vote to require the peer review that I discussed, and then vote to approve the PAR proposal, to select them to do that joint review that they started with the planning board, and to approve the Ecotech proposal for the peer review for the wetland delineation.
Over 45 days in our district.
All right. Peter, are you with us?
On December 9th,
Yeah, from the engineering. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. So yeah.
Excuse me for a second. Jeff, we got some background noise.
Yeah, that's probably for me because of the school committee meeting going.
So Dave, right on your screen, if you scroll your mouse below the last little cube with everyone's names, the little mic buttons down there, you can mute yourself that way if you like while you're not speaking versus your volume.
Where do I go back?
Yep, so right on the bottom of the go-to meeting screen, do you see it says mic, camera, screen, leave? Yep, so just click the little mic button.
There you go. Your microphone's right
Perfect.
now.
There you go.
Yep. All right.
Good.
All
All right,
right,
Jeff. Peter, sorry.
no worries.
Go ahead, Peter.
To back
I was just trying to get some.
I think the two major things of the peer review right now. Since the last meeting, DOT's one comment was MIPA. We also applied to DOT for a curb cut permit. DOT is recommending that we move forward with an ENF, even though the uses are kind of hypothetical and in the air. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. But we are waiting to hear from MIPA, so we are preemptively working on that ENF for the maximum potential build-out of the site, which would be submitted to MIPA. Kind of waiting to hear back from MIPA on confirmation on whether that is necessary or not, but in the meantime, we're going to work towards that and get that in if we don't hear from them soon. It is not a super quick process, not a super long process, but I think we'd rather get it done and out of the way if need be, and not have to wait around on them to tell us otherwise. So we're working on that right now. There have been no plan changes since our last meeting, so again, I think the big thing would be the peer review for the wetlands and the stormwater.
All right. So there is, Peter, there isn't anything additional available that you can show us at this time?
Not right now. We're working on that currently.
Hey,
right.
Peter and Mr. Goodwin and Matt Sosik is here. So first off, I guess, hi. And I think Peter was not sure whether I was going to make it or not. So, just a couple of follow-ups. I did just get the peer review. So, Rebecca, I'm guessing you're the recipient of that check. I'll have that check in the mail tomorrow. I think it was $1,600. So if you're going with Ecotech, I'll send that check out. I'm going to make it payable to the town of Sturbridge, I presume, right? Yeah, okay. So yeah, a couple of days you should have that check. And one thing that keeps coming up, and that Peter and I have been talking about is, and he just said it, but I'll kind of reinforce it or stress it, is like the hypothetical use is what Peter just said. But we had a plan that went way back when with this property, and we did carry some of that over. We have a specific, prospective user for the housing component that is unrelated to me, a buyer. But even they are, they're a contingent buyer. So anything that you see on the plan is really hypothetical, and we probably kind of boxed ourselves in, and now we're likely going to have to file through the MEPA process, but because I think it triggered it. But honestly, I'm guessing like the assisted living hypothetical and the size of the retail drive the traffic counts. But really, who knows what will end up selling, who will sell to, what ends up going on this new proposed road. So I think that's a cautionary word on that. Is I don't. There's nothing on that plan, not your plan, not the plan that's in front of the planning board that is firm. Not one single element of that. It's all either speculative or hypothetical.
Okay. David, you got any questions? I'm going to go around the horn. You're going to have to put your speaker back on.
Let me unmute myself. Yeah, I had a lot of questions, but it makes it difficult to ask questions. The plan is hypothetical. For example, the length and width of the cul-de-sac road, I know it's going to have to be looked at by the planning board, and Becky noticed that and put it in her notes. But the weird part about it is the plan indicates what the width of the road is right now, and it's borderline to entering into 50-foot no firm structures. And we know from your previous work at it, at the fire department got very directly involved in the length of a cul-de-sac and the width of a cul-de-sac, because they have to be able to turn their fire trucks around in order to be able to get out of there. They're not going to back that sucker all the way down the hill. And so that becomes a further unknown, because if the road width has to be increased at all, that's going to impede the ability of us to be able to work with it because of the wetlands. So I see that as a problem. Number two, a segmented project is just something I can't vote for. I simply can't do it because there's too many unknowns. And now you've put in the fact that there are even more unknowns. And so it disturbs me, because one of the things that the hypothetical plan shows is plantings that are going to be placed where there's incursion into the 25 and 50-foot buffer zone. We have tried to maintain the 25 and 50-foot buffer zone as a protection for wetlands. It is vitally important. With the screwed up climate that we have right now, where our rainstorm no longer is 1 inch in 5 or 6 hours, it's 2 inches in 40 minutes. For us to be able to do anything other than protect wetlands. And in my way of thinking, the plan, hypothetical though it may be, doesn't protect the wetlands sufficiently. So as a conservation commissioner, I would have difficulty voting yes.
So the plan in front of you is not hypothetical. The plan in front of you is an engineered plan. Hypothetical plan is the development of those individual.
Matt, let me go around to each of the guys, and then you can respond to anything they say. Eric?
Yeah. So thank you. Obviously we need to protect the wetland, but I personally don't have any problem with a segmented project as long as we are adhering to the appropriate standards and making sure that if the applicant is creating their own encumbrances, that we look at that very seriously and make sure we take no action if they're creating their own problems. But the reality is we're talking about not the easiest economy to go and sell off commercial properties right now. And there's no way, other than throwing darts, we're going to know. So I think that's an unfair burden and standard for us to put on the applicant, and really handcuffs any type of project that would be beyond kind of a single one-off development. So I'm just one vote, but I think that's a very unfair standard to put on people in general, but especially in these times where there's so much incredibly unknown that there's no way, even if they were to put something together, that we could sit back and say like, great, because that's gonna change in 6 months. So that's just my belief and my comment. So thank you.
Steve Alderman?
I guess an extension of David Barnacle's comment about phased and the size of the road. How much do you know that is going to be developed on that road to warrant dealing with the road right now? I mean, you really don't know, or maybe you do know, but why are we messing around with the road now if you don't have any firm idea of what it's going to be used for?
Stephen? I'll get to you, Matt. I understand you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm just taking it in.
I understand. Stephen?
Do you have any other comments?
No, that was my one comment.
Yeah.
I agree with what Steve just said. If this is so speculative as far as what you're planning to do with this, I don't understand. I don't understand the plan. The other thing is, I would want to see. We're talking about an incredible amount of acreage off of this road, this proposed road, and I guess I'd like to see some kind of alternatives analysis to move that road away from the wetland, because right now you're absolutely, as close as you can get, and I'd like to see if there's some alternative to that, which would move this currently proposed work away from the wetland. That's the main thing for me.
Okay, Matt? Matt? Go
Yeah, just going around and probably ending with Dave. So Steve Halterman, I have been part of an ownership group of this property for a very long time, where the taxes, the real estate taxes to the town of Sturbridge are something like $17,000 a year. There's a point in the realities of owning a piece of property for as long as I've owned this one. So I've done, and the other Steve, I've done you a disservice by using the word hypothetical and speculative. I have a buyer, and we had way back when the Conservation Commission looked at this, essentially same plan. There are changes to it as Peter could discuss, but they're minor. We had a specific buyer for an assisted living use at the end of that cul-de-sac, and we had a specific buyer. In fact, I want to say it was Toll Brothers. So the Toll Brothers had the residential portion on deposit, and there was another group that had the assisted living on deposit. We've carried those uses. I now have a user with a purchase and sale for the residential. So I'm building a roadway that will provide access to that residential portion, and then also, obviously creates road frontage lot. So I did you a disservice by saying it the way I said it, because there are real users. I've been on this planet long enough, and you guys know me well enough, most of you anyway. I'm not throwing good money after bad here. This is economically feasible, but I also have to move this property. If any of you want to buy this from me right now, I will sell it. I am done with this property. This is part of a careful, thoughtful meaning thinking for the people who are addressing right now conservation planning, doing a thoughtful, well-planned property development, on this property, and putting it into, productive use, basically. As far as the alternatives, the alternative arrangements for the road, the alternative structures that could move the road, if you look at the plan, you'll see very clearly where the road frontage is, what the logical access to the 130 some odd acres is. Steve, this is the lowest impact. The wetland that it's closest to, I know again, if we were at a table, this would be the second time Peter Engel would probably kick me, but it's not the most valuable wetland. There are a lot of valuable wetlands on this property. It's not that little chunk that's between Jack's Gas, or if I'm going to date myself, I might as well call it Brogan. But that property and mine, that wetland is not much of a wetland. Now, going back, this connects all the way to the McKinstry Brook. And I totally intend to donate that. When we're done with this, there is going to be 60, 70, 80 acres. I don't know, because this is why I haven't done it yet, but there will be a significant chunk of this property that's donated probably to the fisheries, what's the name of that? Mass Fisheries, Wildlife, whatever.
Fish and Wildlife,
They own most, like from the Gilpin down, or from Route 20 down. So this would be a nice little extension piece. They wanted it from me for a while. I wasn't able to donate or even sell it because I didn't know where, the development, cutoff sort of would be, and it didn't make any sense. But soon enough, when we get through this process, we'll be ready to do that. We can make a nice donation to extend the actual value, dare I say, like I'm the final arbiter, but the valuable wetlands are going to end up being donated. So going back, I probably started you off on the wrong foot. The uses were in some cases historic, some cases present day. Peter is working with another applicant that they're waiting for me to get my roadway approved, but Peter Engel is the engineer for another group that's got a housing proposal for the property. So it's, I think it's well thought out. But Steve Halterman, it's like I said, it's a burden. This property has been a long-term burden for me. It's not. I'm going to be totally frank and honest with you on that, and I'm trying my best to put our sort of best foot forward here to make the development sensible, have it make some tiny little bit of economic sense for me, and we're left with a nice donation of valuable wetland property to the fisheries and wildlife in the end. So that's kind of my big picture. It's not without sense, so I didn't mean to leave you with that impression.
When do you think you'll be finished with MIPA?
Peter can answer that question. I think Peter told me 30 days, but next birthday is 51. I've been around a long time now. Nothing's 30 days, right? But didn't they tell you that, Peter?
I believe from the date that they receive it, they have 30 days to get back to you, and then every time they need more information, that 30-day clock basically restarts. So as long as we get them the information that they need.
What did you give MIPA?
It shouldn't take too long, hopefully.
Peter, what did you give MIPA?
We haven't given them anything yet. We're working on that.
Okay.
But I think if I'm answering the question right, Ed, they're driving it off of the traffic study and our proposed uses, basically that say that it triggers MIPA. Is that an accurate statement, Peter? Or did I say that right?
Correct, because we need a DOT access permit. They specifically look at the traffic counts. Those traffic counts are slightly higher than the threshold. So,
well, we've been on this a while, and we can't conclude it tonight. The one thing I would like to see, I'd like to see a full-size set of plans. You may be 51, Matt, but I'm a little bit older than that, so I can use a set of plans that are easily readable. If we can get that for each of the members, we've got a site visit next week, and we're, we have a proposal on the table for to move forward on peer review. So,
Yeah.
I think that's where we are.
I'm sure the planning board probably has full-size plans, but I'm sure we can figure out what you need without killing trees unnecessarily. But yeah, we definitely can put those in your hands. Ed, I failed to hit on one thing. Dave said the road. Going back to the word hypothetical, poor choice of words, all that, Dave. But the road that's locked in, and just to give you some history, the planning board approved the preliminary approval. They approved the length of the cul-de-sac. Now the road has changed because the traffic study that we did just recently dictated a wider road at the opening, so it could have a turning lane, just for safety perspective. So we widened the bottom of that road, but the rest of this road is essentially more or less the same road that was approved preliminarily by the planning board. Now that's back in 2007, but just giving you some history. There's nothing quote unquote hypothetical at all about the engineering, which is where Peter was going on the roadway itself. The only thing that's not necessarily tied down and firmed up is who's going to be in unit 1 of the building on the left side of the cul-de-sac. Because you go, I don't know the answer to that, right? But that road and that end on that plan, as presented to the planning board and you guys, is locked in.
Ed, can I ask 2 more questions, please?
Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you for clarification, though, Matt. My first question is, it seems to me that in the previous iteration, where you didn't have somebody that came in and actually made the purchase and sale agreement, that there was a retail part of the plan. And I was wondering if there's a retail part of this plan also.
There is. It's on the plan. It's shown on
plan.
It's on the left side of that cul-de-sac. So on the west side, I don't have it. I'm not staring at it, but as you go up the cul-de-sac on your left, yeah.
Yeah, it's not shown on the road plan because again, it's a potential property. But
I'll look it up. My second question is, have you solved the problem of the sewer yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the selectmen allocated 20,000 gallons a day for the essentially the entirety of the property. It was allocated by the old lot numbers, but the town allocated 20,000 gallons. For those of you who have had some history and know the history of it, I mean, we do have an agreement with the town of Southbridge that to take the sewer. We don't really need it based on present uses, proposed uses here with the housing the way it is now. The housing as proposed way back when Toll Brothers was involved, et cetera, was much more. It was much denser, and it was much more heavier user of sewer flow. And we had an agreement, and we still have an agreement with the town of Southbridge. I don't see us having to access that agreement. So we intend to run this. We intend to use the 20,000 that was allocated.
But that would be pumped to Southbridge by Sturbridge. Is that correct?
It would flow down to 131, and it would go south on 131 and into the Southbridge system. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a real quick comment.
All right. And then we're gonna go ahead. We'll go one more time, then we'll close it up.
want to clarify something. Matt, I really appreciate your response to the comments. The reason that there's two reasons that why we all came down kind of hard, concern about phased projects, is that they've bitten us really badly in the past. And at last meeting, I think I specifically asked what other sorts of things are going to be done on this property, possibly. And no offense to Peter, but he was probably at your recommendation, keeping things pretty close to the vest, and he said that they had no idea. And I said, well, I strongly think that you have an idea. So I appreciate you coming in and telling us that there's something about some of the various projects that might go on. And if there's anything that you could share with us to give us a little bit of comfort that you're not going to come back to us and say the only way we can build this, make any money out of this, is to ruin the last.
First off, whatever I'm telling you, my word's going to be better than anything I give you in writing on paper or whatever. I mean, this is what we got. I know Ed's trying to wrap this up, so I will say that the one thing that, and Peter might have said it, and if he didn't, I'm saying it now, that we probably spent my money and triggered NEPA unnecessarily because we have put the most intensive uses that we could see. And then so those are the ones we loaded into the traffic study as an example. Those are the ones that we're presenting to the planning board as an example. You guys don't have as much tangible touch and feel with the uses part of it as those groups. But the point is, we've actually loaded this with almost a worst case scenario. Again, poor word choice. From a traffic flow perspective, from an impacts perspective, which includes environmental. So we're already there, Steve. I think the only thing you would see from me from this project is actually a peel back from, as an example, that assisted living is likely, if it even ends up being an assisted living or independent living, if it would probably be much smaller. That's my guess. I see that we probably did ourselves a bit of a disservice. But to your point, to the question that you're raising, are you going to bait and switch us with heavier, more intense, or less desirable uses? Absolutely not. No, we've done it the opposite way, to our own detriment a bit. I don't expect it to be a problem. I'm just saying, this makes this process harder. It makes NEPA more expensive. It makes the process last longer and take longer. So that's the way I see it. I don't see it going the opposite way, and it won't under my watch. You guys know me well enough. I'm not gonna quote unquote stick it to anybody in this town, let alone the Conservation Commission or the Planning Board or anyone else. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, Stephen, you got anything? Stephen?
I'm all set.
All set. All right, I'm asking for a continuation to the next. Do we want to go to the next meeting? Or? Becky, go ahead. I see you.
Yes, I'd ask that you guys vote on the peer review proposal, so we have that officially done for both of them.
Do I have a motion to approve the peer review proposal?
You want to do them separately or together? You have two in front of you. You have PAR for the stormwater client, and you have Epitech for the wetland review.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we approve of the wetland review.
Do I have a second on that? A discussion?
That's really important to me to make sure that.
Any discussion?
We give access to those families first.
Seeing none, I'll take a vote. All in favor? David?
David Barnacle in favor.
Steve?
Steve Halterman in favor.
Stephen?
Stephen Chittister in favor.
Eric?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor. Now on Becky on the other.
For PAR? PAR Corporation, the stormwater peer review.
Isn't there in conjunction with the planning board? So what we want is a motion that will go along with the wording that Becky will put on it, having to do with agreeing to use the results of the Park Corporation review as our indicator for matching the wetlands requirements for both the Commonwealth and for the town.
If it matters to the committee, I've already paid, and I know it's underway, and I think we've actually gotten some, I think Peter said there was some initial comments from them already, so it's already in progress.
Yeah, Becky put it in our notes, so.
Yeah, basically
we're just voting on it, whether,
The reason we have to do this, though, Matt, is because we have to approve of accepting somebody else's report as being part of our permanent record.
I got you. I'm so happy I don't have to pay them again.
Yeah. I was
like, oh my, it was like $6,600 or something. I had to go to Janice and ask for permission to write that check. Okay, Dave? It was brutal.
Do I have a proposal?
I think David just made it, so I'd like to second that proposal.
Okay, I thought so too. Any discussion?
Thanks, Eric.
All right, seeing none, all in favor, David?
David Barnacle in favor.
Steve Alderman?
Steve Alderman in favor.
Stephen?
Stephen Chittister in favor.
Eric?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Ned Goodwin in favor. All right, with that, Peter, you'd like a continuation?
Do we want public comments first, Ed?
Thank you.
That's probably a good idea. Jeff?
Yep.
Do you see if there's anybody in the audience? Thanks, Stephen.
Sure.
Good evening. Is there anyone on the public line that would like to speak to the 30 Main Street, 20 Fisk Hill Road application? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the 30 Main Street, 20 Fisk Hill Road application? There's no one on the line.
All right. Peter, do we have approval for continuation?
Yes.
And when would you like that to be? Becky, what's the next meeting? Is February 2nd?
Yep, next meeting is February 2nd, and after that is March 2nd.
You should make sure that Peter agrees that we can get it done in that time frame.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah. Peter, you got February 2nd or March 2nd, which do you like?
We can take the February 2nd. We're not going to hear back from MIPA in that time frame, but we may have some sort of update for you. And if not,
make some progress. Yeah.
Just a continuance beforehand or something.
Okay. All right, Becky, you got that? We're going to vote on that now?
7:15.
Mr. Barnacle?
Approved. David Barnacle.
Stephen Haltman?
I approve. Steve Alderman.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm in favor. Eric Gaspar.
Stephen?
Stephen Chittister in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor. All right, thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you on the 2nd.
Thank you very much.
Bigger plans. Don't forget to get us some bigger plans.
Oh,
And
yeah, I was going to
details.
mention, I'll reach out to you members individually to see who wants full-size plans, and then I'll let Pete know about that. And then
All
also,
right.
Ed mentioned it earlier, but we're trying to work out a joint site visit with the representatives of the planning department, town planner, applicant's representative, applicant, and John Shevlin from Power Review, which will be, it looks like we're aiming for this coming Monday at 9 o'clock. Trying to limit the number of people, so if there's one or two representatives from the board who are available for that site visit, I'll send out an email to remind you to try to get a couple people for that site visit.
Great.
Unless you want to offer now.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks.
What's next, Beck? Where do you want to go?
So we have under old business, we have enforcement order update. At the last meeting, you asked me to go back through the list that we had started, I think last October, just looking at what we had for enforcement orders. I did provide that in advance. Do you want me to go through them individually, or do you want to ask questions?
Questions, I think. That would be the best way to go.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions on any? Stephen, anything? No? Eric?
No.
No? And I don't either. Becky?
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, you know, you're welcome. It's nice we're looking at this list that these numbers are going down. A lot of these have been addressed in this past year. It looks like out of the 13 I have listed on here, 6 are only ongoing at this time. So, and we're actively working on all of them. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Then I just had, we have left on here agents report. So
Yeah.
I just had a few things, just to give you an update. I think I mentioned this quite a while ago, but we're working on the Grand Trunk Trail project still, working with Tom Chamberlain and Jeff on this. This is the Grand Trunk Trail extension from the Army Corps property to the Ed Calcutt Bridge all the way to Farquhar Road. It will pass over Army Corps land. There's a little bit of private property, and then also one of the town property in your care and custody on Farquhar Road. So it looks like we'll be getting ready and looking for permitting later this year with the hopeful construction late fall for that. So just to let you know about that. Just to let you know, I did receive an update from Mass DOT about our Cedar Lake enforcement order project that's been ongoing. A couple meetings ago, I gave you an update that we had met with them in December, looking for some additional information. They did have a few things go on out there. So they did follow up with us last week and did provide me with a schedule for doing some of their work. I haven't replied back to them yet. I have a few comments and questions for them, but they did give us a whole year schedule for their work. Part of this project, if you remember, it was tied into a paving project, and that's where they got their funding from. So they gave us a schedule starting in March, where they're going to start with implementing all of our drainage improvements, starting with Area 2, 1, and then going to 4. So it looks like right from the beginning, between March to May, they will be getting that work done. And then they did note at the end of the project to go back in, October to do final restoration of those areas. So I was going to ask for clarification. Obviously we want to restore these areas in the spring when they work, and then obviously any final restoration at the end. I think that's their intent, but I just want to make sure that they're going to do all of the work at the beginning. So I'm going to ask them for clarification on that. A couple things to note that I'd like to ask them for a little bit of additional information on. Good things, though, is that they discussed after they had the storm there in December that flooded the neighbor's house. They did look at some modifications to add some additional drainage structures to divert some of the water that's going to that swale there. So they're looking at that and coming up with a plan for that. And they also discussed adding an infiltration basin into that swale. So if you remember, that's the swale on the west side of Cedar Lake, the one with a lot of water. They did the improvements at the end, and they're doing improvements at the beginning. As when we had gone out there a long time ago for the site visit, had talked about, if you get a lot of space, you could get a basin or something in with the amount of water that's going down. So they're looking at doing that now, and their plan, they say, is to provide the additional drainage structure information designed to the contractor by February 15th. So I'm going to email them, remind them that those changes need to go in front of you guys for approval too. I think they'd be good BNPs and try to get some type of draft for you to look at sooner than later. So that's about it for that. Like I said, I think it's all good things, good improvements, and it's nice to have that schedule, and we know that that's hopefully going to happen first thing in the spring. And then we can get that enforcement order wrapped up.
Great.
Just to remind you, the next meeting is February 2nd. Site visits will be this coming Tuesday. We have at least 3 or 4 site visits to go to. I'll send that schedule out later. In addition, I will be looking for, like I said, on Monday to go to the Fisk Hill Main Street subdivision project site visit at 9 o'clock on that. We do have a new forest cutting plan that just came in.
What's the date on that again, Becky? Is that this Monday?
Yep, the 25th.
The 25th. And that's at what time, 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock, yeah. At least if one person can attend, that would be good. Where was I? Oh, yeah, new forest cutting plan came in today. So Steve Holton and I will be going out there at the end of the week. We'll have it on the next agenda for review and comments. And just so you're aware, the next meeting agenda looks like we're going to have 2 new ANRADs on there. The new notice of intent for Hamilton Rod and Gun Club. New notice of intent is a small commercial redevelopment, some parking lot improvements. And then we do have a couple of continued projects that were continued from December, as well as the 8 North Drive notice of intent for the septic, which we had to postpone, and then we will have the 30 Main Street 25th Kill on there too. Okay?
All right. Yeah.
And I take it there's no second meeting in February.
No second meeting in February.
Okay. Did we go through the minutes in my 15-minute hiatus while I was trying to rectify the
Yes, we did.
issue?
Yes, you did, Mr. Barnacle. And you approved them. I have sent you.
I did, but I want to bring something up that has to do about minutes, not specifically those minutes.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Fisk Hill project in those minutes. On the 5th line down, the 3rd set of bullet points in, the phrase "etc." was used. In my mind, that is not acceptable on minutes. Minutes are supposed to give the general public an idea about what's going on and remind the Conservation Commission, not today or tomorrow, but a week or 2 weeks or a month or a year from now, what was going on. And et cetera does not do that.
Are we talking about a quote from an applicant?
No, we are not. We are talking about the way that the project was described, blah, 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 et cetera. I just don't see that as being a legitimate form of filling out a report, and you guys approved it.
We did. We did.
Well, perhaps you should be reading the minutes a little bit more carefully, but that said, I don't think we should. The minutes are supposed to tell the public what went on at our meeting.
Right, David. But if we're talking about this specific project, that was the theme around what was being explained back to us, where there was a number of different things that could be done: a residential property, an elder facility, and because we were talking in hypotheticals, it doesn't strike me as being improper, that or even out of the realm of possibilities that the applicant used the word, et cetera. So I understand your point in general, but when we're talking about this project specifically, I don't know that it was an improper use.
I'm going to shut that down. I appreciate David's input, but since we've already approved it, we're going to let it go at that.
I'm not looking for a change in it because it.
No, I know. I know you are. I'm just trying to shut the discussion down on it, et cetera, you know.
Steven, it's your time.
No,
I agree with Chair.
Go ahead, Steven.
Second.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a
Eric,
second?
second.
Eric? All in favor?
Aye.
I see the hands. David, do I see a hand?
67 minutes. That's a record in my 18 months on the board. Good job, everyone.
All right, take care. Thank you.
See you later.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, Dave. Hey, David. He is gone. Take care, gang.
Good night.
Good night, Jeff.